welcome to another episode of Spotlight On. I'm Brendan Lowe with the Camden City School District. Today, we're talking with some of our longest-serving teachers in the district, as well as some of our longest-serving central office employees. We're going to hear more about their experience over the course of a few decades working in the school district, and now as they get set for a well-deserved retirement. We're joined today by Miss Denise Ray from the central office, Mr. James Montgomery from Woodrow Wilson High School, and Miss Gail Nichols from Veterans Family School. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So why don't we start at the beginning and tell us a little bit. We'll start here with Miss Ray about how you came into the school district, how you found out about the position in Camden, what the position was, and how you got your start.
When I graduated from Camden High in '74, I went to night school, evening class. And when I went to evening class, my teacher found out that there was an opening and she advised me to sign up for it. And I did, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. And Mr. Montgomery?
Yes. After graduating from Florida A&M University, I can remember coming home and distinctly reading an article in Ebony magazine where Earl Monroe was asked why didn't he go to a larger university because he had that kind of talent. And he said, well, you know, I went to a smaller university in Winston-Salem because I always thought it would be nice to be a big fish in a little pond. So after not signing on with Philadelphia because of their circumstances, I came to Camden and found that it was a great fit for me.
Oh,
Very
great.
personalized.
That's great. And Miss Nichols?
Okay, I also graduated from Camden High and went away to North Carolina Central University. And I came back home, and I actually only applied to Camden and one other place in Virginia. And my interviewer had also been one of my music teachers while I was in Camden, and I got the position.
And can you tell us a little bit about when you did get the position, your respective positions, and feel free to jump in here. What was it like? You know, we're here now in 2015. You have smart boards in your classroom, maybe you have different kinds of technology, you're working on a computer with certain software. How were you working? What was your job like when you started? Some 41 for Miss Ray or 42 for Mr. Montgomery and Miss Nichols years ago.
Hard.
It was hard.
Yeah, we key punched, and we entered the information into the system manually. So it's a lot easier now with the computer, with the Genesis and the way we do it. But it's more work because the teachers now do their work, but we have to maintain it to make sure that they're doing it right.
For the students who are watching who might not be familiar with the term key punch,
punching.
can you tell us a little bit about?
We actually had to put cards into a machine, and the machine punched holes in the cards, and we had another machine to read it, or we learned how to read it off the cards.
And this was with what kind of information?
Student information
Okay.
that you actually key into the computer now.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So a different time.
Different time.
Yeah. Feel free to
Yeah,
jump in.
well, for me, it was really an exciting time because I was working for the first time in what I called an adult job. Right, no more staying at home. And I happened to have fallen into a good situation where two of my baseball buddies were in the school with me. So I got a classroom, and it was most of the work back then was all manual, pencil and paper. It's changed a lot today. But it was chalk all over the pants and just go for it.
And what were you teaching when you started here?
I started off with 7th grade English.
Okay.
And, you know, I went through up and down the system from 7th to 12th and currently in high school and have been in high school for the majority of my career.
Okay. And what were or what are some of the differences between kind of the 7th graders that you served in the 70s and the high school students that you serve now?
Some of the differences were when you know, back then the students, they were all still always ready and eager to learn, but today's students are so more focused with the technology. In fact, most of the adults, we say they've passed us. When I have a problem with technology, you just go to the students, and the students tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
And then we get it done. But the classroom is, you know, still basically the classroom. It has to be managed. You know, we still have to give them the motivation to keep moving forward. But for the most part, you know, the students have succeeded and done well.
Yeah. And Ms. Nichols, from your perspective, teaching music over the course of this period, and just music, as at Veterans for, I believe, 40 years. What's changed when it comes to teaching
The
music?
technology is great. It's like now I can actually take the kids to a musical show just by using the smart board, whereas in the past we didn't have that. Even the pianos that we played, half of my students today don't know what an acoustic piano is like because they've never seen it. They see keyboards and electric pianos, and it is different. And I remember, as Denise was saying, how we used to hand put everything down on the report cards and things like that.
Yeah.
And when we first started using computers, I can remember many times we had to call Miss Ray because we were doing the grades wrong.
And you, fortunately, you knew Miss Ray. Can you tell us how you knew each other?
We went to school together, junior high school at Pine Point.
Yeah.
And then I taught her children at Vets.
Wow. Wow. And to the extent you want to take the opportunity to answer this question, do you remember what each other was like as a student back in middle school?
Quiet.
Quiet.
Really? Wonder what happened. And just looking a little bit larger in terms of not just how your classroom has changed or your workplace has changed, but the broader kind of school and education, how has that changed? Camden as a city obviously has changed pretty significantly during this time, but what has it looked like to be an educator in Camden over the course of this period? Whoever wants to jump in, feel free.
To be an educator today, I'm sure that you have to be up on your technology. But, as the school system changes with maybe charter schools coming in, it's just a challenge to continue to grow the students. And I think that the Camden students are continuing to grow, and the Camden teachers are feeling a little bit of pain. But for the most part, I see the growth there.
Yeah. And is there either a colleague or a student or parent who you worked with in your career who, as you look back now, you think of? Maybe it's somebody who you had as a student and now you have their children as students, but is there of the hundreds, maybe thousands of students who you served, or the many hundreds of people who you worked with, maybe thousands of teachers over the course of time, are there folks who stick out, who you'll kind of take with you a little bit more memorably?
I have one family because I taught the grandmother and then the mother and then the last generation of them. And the grandmother loves to remind them that I was her teacher. And I also dealt with the grandmother's mother in a church choir that I used to play for.
Wow. That's
So they're
impressive.
still very close friends.
Yeah, that's great.
And for me, I have to actually say that I actually came into the system when a few big legends were still here. Miss Roletta Cream, who
Yeah.
was outstanding leader and great mentor of teachers, and Coach Turner, and these were the golden years when Camden High sports was doing well and
Yeah.
academics was doing well. So these people stood out. But on a personal level, I also have a student that I taught. Her name is Sheree Thompson, and she actually has come along to mentor my daughter, who was a teacher here in the Camden School District. So, and they've become quite good friends.
That's a great story.
I don't really know anybody.
No? Do you have other classmates like Miss Nichols who have gone on to work in the school district from your time either in Camden High or in Pine Point?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes, quite a few of them.
Yeah, have stuck around. Yeah. Are there things that, and I'll ask you both versions of this question. Are there things that you will miss about the job that you have now?
Of course.
And what will you miss most, or what are some of the few things that you'll miss most?
My colleagues and all the friends that I've met.
Yeah.
And I'll miss the work, but my time is past now. It's time for me to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really will miss my colleagues and my friends.
Yeah.
And the same with me, the relationships you bonded with other teachers, and even the city. I've seen, Camden grow over the years with the riverfront, the waterfront.
Yeah.
And I've actually seen the bridge painted about 2 or 3 times, so, just the growth period of the city, myself, the kids, I'm a grandfather teacher, so I've seen it all.
Yes, we are.
And Ms.
And
Nichols?
I think the most I will miss is the kids.
Yeah.
And I've been changed from middle school to elementary in the last 5 years.
Okay.
And the pre-K babies and the kindergarten babies and the things they do, you miss that.
Yeah.
You miss that a lot.
So conversely, the other way around, are there things that you won't miss at all? Are there things that you just...
I will not miss being scheduled for when I can go to the lavatory.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I don't think I'll miss fire drills in the wintertime when it's cold and freezing out.
I won't miss fire drills having to leave the 5th floor and walk down all those steps.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you on that one. Are there things that that you think are misconceptions about the work that you do, either what it means to be a teacher in Camden or about schools in Camden? When people hear just the word Camden, obviously there are a lot of associations in this region. You obviously have been closer to the work than a lot of other people who might read about it in the newspaper or something else. And I'm just curious, from your perspective of having come to work, every day for, we're talking over 4 decades now, what are the impressions that you're walking away with of both the city and the school district? Yeah.
Well, for sure, the misconception is you get the sideways look when you say you work in Camden. But then once you break it down to them and tell them what a lovely place churches, homes, people, the schools, the kids are, they walk away with a different perspective. And so I feel good about that because by living in Philadelphia, I'm the odd one out with teachers. I'm the only one working in Camden. They're working in Philly.
Right.
So I think it's been a great place, wonderful place.
What are, just to go a little bit into that, when you do say you are a teacher in Camden, that you work in the central office in Camden, what are people think? I mean, what's the reaction you get?
You know what I'm saying?
Aren't you afraid?
That's one of the ones.
Isn't it dangerous working there? And in my area, they don't realize we have a lot of talented children, and they don't believe it until they get a chance to actually see them perform somewhere, and they realize they came from Camden. Yes, they came from Camden.
And then there's, in just certain sections where I work most of my time, there's the Walt Whitman Museum over in Parkside and Harley Cemetery. And I tell people how on an annual basis, people from all over the world come there on Whitman's birthday to celebrate and eat and party, and we've even taken trips over there. So it's a whole lot of beauty here in the city of Camden.
Yeah, yeah. And was there a time when the concern from neighbors or family or friends, or you're concerned about kind of the building you were in or whatever the situation might be, did you get close to, to work in the same place for 40-something years is not that common at this point in time. So was there a time where you got close to heading out and you're glad now looking back that you stuck around for the time that you did?
Yes.
Can you describe it?
What, how close it was?
Yeah.
I wanted to change jobs, but I changed my mind and stayed there. I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, for me, I was a worker dad. Once I got a family, I knew I was in it for the long haul, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't just all, nose to the grind work, but I never thought about it. I always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I never thought about leaving vets. When I was transferred, I was a little hurt at first. And ironically, the school I was transferred to closed down, and we all got sent back to vets. So I'm back where I started from, because I had gotten very friendly with the families and the people in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And even where I went, it was still in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So.
And so I'll give you a imaginary magic wand. So presumably, in your time, you've seen a lot of initiatives come and go, a lot of brand new curricula be the answer, and then maybe not be the answer, and you introduce something else or a new software program or something else. Is there anything that you worked with in your time here that isn't here still, but you think would be worthwhile to bring back? A policy, a program, anything that you worked with that you just thought was pretty helpful or pretty great, and it would be good to get it back.
That's a good question. I haven't thought about that.
Never thought about it.
No?
Policy that worked. Can't really put a
Well,
finger
it's
on
not
it
really
right
a
now.
policy,
Yeah.
but in my area, I think they need to go back to teaching basics. Because
Okay.
as it is now with the standards, you expect the children to write music before they know what a quarter note is.
Mm.
And we need to go back to the way we used to teach it, basics first, and then you build up to that.
Mm.
And maybe for me, I know when I first came here, we would have many nightly programs that we put on for the community, plays. You know, we would do Raisin in the Sun, and, you know, have the families come out. And they don't seem like they do too much of that anymore.
Mm.
You know, have theatrical productions. I would like to see that continue, bring that back.
Yeah. And moving forward, so even though you won't work in the school district in the same way you do, if you still had this wand, are there things that you would either change or create moving forward? So not something that necessarily existed in the past, but something that you would like to see exist in the future, something that would make your life easier, or the people who are going to, you know, continue, your colleagues, continue in the schools, things that you'd like them to be able to do.
Magic wand for the future.
You got a magic wand, guys.
Well, if I had a magic wand, speaking personally, I'd make sure every music teacher had a classroom, because it's horrible trying to teach music on a cart.
Yeah. Tell us a
And
little bit more about
they're-
what it's like.
They're needing the space for other things, and they're taking more and more of the classrooms away from the special area teachers, and we have to push our supplies and walk around, and it's hard.
Mm.
It's very hard.
And-
And I
and-
think,
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to have a classroom,
Okay.
and I know how it is on both sides. It's much easier when you have a class with all your music supplies in that room, your
Sure.
piano, as it is to trying to cart a piano and push a cart around a building.
Sure.
So with my magic wand, every music teacher gets a classroom.
Sure. Yeah.
We've improved with a lot of new facilities, a lot of the schools, but if, you know, just to see more and better facilities come along.
Yeah. Yeah. You're okay how you are.
Yes.
And you transferred, you used to work a lot with the key punch system you were describing. Now it's on Genesis. You
Yes.
used to work in a system that was a little bit more centralized, and now it's more in the schools. And,
Yes.
and your role has changed now to be more of a help desk.
Yes.
Can you describe for the folks who aren't necessarily familiar with kind of the behind-the-scenes work that happens that kind of supports what they do see? Can you describe kind of how you support the work in your current role?
Well, if the teachers or employees can't get them on Genesis, they forgot their password, or for some reason they were knocked off, we have to put them back on. If they mess up with the grades and attendance or something, we fix that. Scheduling, we do that. We just have our hands in everything that they
Yeah.
basically do, and make sure that we keep up behind them, checking up to make sure that they're doing it right.
Yeah.
And if we're not, then we get in touch with them and let them know that it's not right and we need to fix it.
Yeah. And Genesis is the online system. How would you describe it?
Like, when you say online, what do you mean?
It's like Genesis is the computer program that schools use to enter.
Their grades,
Okay.
their grade
Attendance.
book, attendance, whatever they used to do writing, they enter it into, they're supposed to enter it into the Genesis.
Got it.
So that, I guess, so that their supervisors can keep up with what they're doing.
Got it. Okay. Are there students, and you've mentioned a few examples, who you've kept in touch with or who you've seen go on to do different things, or families who have gone on to do different things, principals for your case, Ms. Ray, after you've left them, who've kind of come back to the school and said, you know, I landed X, Y, or Z? Does that happen at all?
It happens sometimes. Sometimes I've had students come back who've worked in my building as substitute teachers,
Okay.
or I've seen them in the community. I have one young man who is a fireman who is actually getting ready to retire. So I told him, you make me feel really old. But they do come back occasionally.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
I've actually had a student to actually be my principal, right, after so many years, and came back, and it was a good experience.
Who was that?
Over at Bonsall, when I spent 1.5 years at Bonsall, the first principal there when I got there was Miss Deborah Lusa,
Oh, yeah.
and was a former student,
Wow.
so now she was my principal.
Wow.
And then, ironically, when they transferred me to Woodrow Wilson, she got over there too to be the vice principal. So, students and it's a good feeling to see, your students progress, and other areas too. George Hageman, who was a student, went on to play for the Eagles and the Cowboys. So, you get those rewards in teaching,
Yeah.
and they're very rewarding.
Yeah. Ms. Ray, you were saying you see this as well?
I've seen it, yes.
Yeah, that's great. And Ms. Nichols, you mentioned the word retire, and so that's how many days we have left? We have 23 days or something.
17,
No,
I think.
it's
soon, it's soon.
17.
Okay. We're not counting at all.
Right.
What are we looking forward to in retirement? How are we planning on spending our time once July 1st comes here?
Well, we're planning on relaxing, doing whatever we want without a schedule. And then also I have, I'm sure, a lot of volunteer church work that I'll be doing.
What church do you go to?
First Nazarene Baptist
Oh, yeah.
Church in Camden.
Okay. And Mr. Montgomery?
Well, I'm way in left field. For me, I always carry around my dream folder because I'll have time to work on it.
Okay. What's in there? Tell us
What's in here?
Yeah.
You really want to?
Yeah, I do.
It says Royal Mail from England.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually, on all the seriousness, since baseball has been my life, I actually have a little project that I'm working on where I've turned Macbeth into Cambeth. Macbeth spelled backward, Cambeth. And it's a combination of a baseball play and Shakespeare's Macbeth. And I've gotten some pretty good reviews from it. I actually got an official letter from Prince William's office saying that they were interested. So I'm just trying to
Huh.
go to Hollywood. That's it.
So
It's my
you
dream book.
become an amateur playwright.
Yes.
Wow.
Looking forward to stuff like that.
Can
Been
you
working
tell-
on it for a long time.
Yeah. Can you tell us just a little bit more about the project, how you decided to combine those interests and create this play?
Being in English
Yeah.
and enjoying reading Shakespeare a lot, and concern for inner city kids, seeing how they were kind of losing it, and just baseball has been something I always wanted to do professionally, didn't make it. I just combined the two, and it's not necessarily a hip hop version. It's written in classical Old English. So as I began to write about it, just grew on me and spare time. Sometimes in the school, spare hours, work on it at home. And so it just consumed me. Now I'm ready for it. I'll have time for it.
Is there a chance in a year's time or so we see you on the stage, or are you a behind the scenes?
No. I want to have it as a production. I don't want to do any acting myself.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And Miss Ray, what are you planning on doing?
Also, church. I also have a second job that I work, so I plan on changing my hours around,
Yeah.
so I could free my time up at night
Yeah,
and travel to see my son in California with his family sometimes,
that's great.
and basically like that.
Yeah. Is there anything that is a little bit nerve-wracking about changing what's become a routine for more than 40 years now, as you get set to retire? Maybe it's just total glee that you're feeling and excitement, but is there anything that's going to be a little bit weird come September 2nd or something next year when you're not going back to school? Is there anything that is kind of running through your mind as you come to the end here?
No.
Well, I like to think about, when you talk to other people who've retired, they always tell you how great it is and how much you can do what you want to do, but they don't tell you about the little odd feelings you get
Yeah, they
about
don't.
it. They don't, like one day all of a sudden crossing the bridge, I'm like, I'm not going to cross this bridge anymore. Just the odd little thoughts you have about it. So,
Yeah.
But
You're going
I'm
to save a
looking
lot of
forward
money
to
on tolls.
Yeah.
I had one of my friends, that retired that told me, Gail, on the first day of school, get up and go somewhere. Don't stay home that day, because it's going to be a strange feeling that you're not getting ready for school.
Yeah. You could also sleep in with the new schedule that you'll be able to keep. Just as we start to wrap up here, I'm curious, a lot of the students who you've taught and people that you've worked with still in Camden and might be watching this program either on CCSD-TV or on our YouTube station and might be recognizing you. And I'm curious whether you have anything you'd like to say to them or the kind of the Camden community at large as you kind of think back on your experience in the Camden City School District for, again, 41, 42, and 42 years.
Well, first, I'd like to say, I give thanks and honor to Almighty God and thank the city of Camden, the people of Camden, for accepting me, because they've always treated me with open arms, even when I guess I've made my mistakes, and the school district for giving me an opportunity, really, and I really appreciate it, and I'm very thankful for that, very thankful.
Sure, thank you.
It's basically the same thing. It's been a privilege, it's been an honor, it's been a trial, but it's been an enjoyable journey that we've been on for these 42 years.
Ms. Ray, I don't feel like anything.
Same thing for me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of thanks, I want to thank you both for joining us today on the program, but also just for your service over the course of a very long time and impacting as many students and educators as you have. So I just want to say thank you personally. And thank you also for watching this episode of Spotlight On with Miss Denise Ray, Mr. James Montgomery, and Miss Gail Nichols here joining us for this episode. If you have an idea or suggestion for a future episode of Spotlight On, you can email us at communications@camden.k12.nj.us. You can always follow us on Facebook and like us on Twitter, or vice versa. You can also watch us on YouTube. This video and many others are available on our YouTube station. For now, thanks very much for watching and enjoy your day.